As an undocumented immigrant, I can still make a living in this country, I can still survive, and I can still contribute not only to the socio-economic of this country, but the cultural growth of this country.
Oh, and we are back, boys. Let's go. So, hope you guys liked the last video. That was a lot more editing, a lot more B-roll, and I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, I kind of want to keep putting out content on a daily to weekly basis, right? So I think these reaction videos are actually pretty good. I'm calling them middle class reacts. Definitely stealing it from Graham Stephan's Millionaire Reacts, but I think we have two different opinions, right? So it's good to see my opinion on it as well as his. If you guys come up with a better name or if you like the name, let me know in the comments below. But right now, today, with this setup, got the iPad, I got new YouTube videos making $46,000 in Denver, Colorado. And like Graham says, wait for it, millennial money. I thought this would be a good one because the last video I posted was somebody making $80,000 a year. This one's making significantly less than $80,000 a year. And then the next video I'm posting, that's a middle class react to somebody making significantly more than $80,000 a year. So with the intro being done, let's dive right into it.
My name is Alejandro Flores Munoz. I am 31 years old. I make $46,000 a year, and I live in Denver, Colorado.
Completely separate from what he makes. I guarantee you Denver, Colorado, especially with what they've passed in terms of like marijuana laws and everything, will be growing significantly over the next couple years. Based off of what he makes, $46,000, he pays $620 a month. I was making $35,000 and I had to pay more than that. And I had a roommate in Raleigh, North Carolina, and our place was not nice whatsoever. I guess the property value in Denver, Colorado is less. I'm not really sure, so let me know in the comments below.
I am the co-owner of Stokes Pocket Food Truck, a local food truck here in the center of downtown Denver. We have established it and grown to a kiosk, catering, and pop-up business.
See, that is the spirit that I love, right? So you have somebody who's really coming from nothing, starting from zero in 1997, like I said, and now he's built this business from the ground up. I don't know how successful it is. I'm sure he's about to get into the numbers, but that is what America's about, right? Like America's about starting from nothing, pulling up your bootstraps, and just making something, and specifically making something out of nothing.
We were able to grow the business when we bought it from $40,000 to, at the end of 2019, grossing $196,000.
How many people? And I'm sure there are people out there that are critical of, you know, his position in terms of being an undocumented immigrant. But how many people can say they actively exchange $200,000 a year in American money? Like they are not only making that money, but they're spending it back into society. A big topic in finances is actually the mobility and the fluidity of money. So what I mean by that is basically how much money in the market is actually being exchanged from hand to hand, right? Because that's going to set up an environment where people can succeed, and that's going to set up an environment where people can fail, which ultimately, when you bring it all together, is going to increase the economy because you're going to have competition, you're going to have development, and you're going to have an increased exchange of money from people to people.
Once the pandemic hit, we saw drastic changes. We went from doing anywhere from 350 to 500 bowls on any given day to only pulling in roughly 50 bowls a day.
So that's honestly unfortunate. The biggest industry by far that has been hit by this whole illness is the service industry. I know many of my friends who are waiters and waitresses, they're making an eighth to a tenth of what they were making before everything shut down. I don't know if you guys have seen the projections and what everybody's been saying, but there's pretty much a guaranteed recession through the end of 2022 in terms of unemployment rates. Those aren't suspected to get below 6% at any chance of that happening until early 2022. So at least through the end of this year and the end of next year, we're going to have a lot of people, specifically in the service industry, struggling in the United States.
Not only losing about 95% of our business, right now it's picking back up, but losing that much really hurt us. And recently, our food truck was also hit by a drunk driver. Our food truck right now is in the auto body shop. I am estimating that in total, we're gonna lose about 5 weeks of being able to operate the food truck, which also results in loss of revenue.
That seems to be how things go. When you get something good happen to you, it's usually coupled with something else that's pretty good and get momentum. And then you get, 5 hits going back the other way. Right? So he had the illness hit him. And then on top of that, his food truck got hit by a drunk driver. That's honestly rough. And the fact that he had to drop his pay down to $0 leads me to believe that he's reinvesting all of the money in terms of revenue back into the business, which is good, right? But there's always a balance of two things. So if you're putting all your money back into the business, that means you're not building up any savings on the side as a business in order to keep paying your workers what they need to get paid. So there's always an argument of how quickly should you set yourself up to grow versus how much equity and assets you should have in your business. Go read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. He has about 100 pages explaining his headaches with that while growing Nike.
So the last time I had a savings account was in 2018, and I had a savings of about $5,000. I used that money to buy into the food truck business Stokes Poke.
All right, so let's look at what his budget currently is. So his rent is $620. It looks like he's spending $500 in side hustles. That might not be bad. I don't know what his return on investment is. So if you spend $500 but you get $1,500 back, why wouldn't you do that, right? Food is $400. That's roughly what I spend, $100 a week on food, so that makes sense. Transportation is $397. If you're paying for a car or paying for a bus pass or you're paying for insurance on your car, that's pretty much in the ballpark, right? Phone is $150. If you're on a single plan that's expensive, he might be paying for other people as well, but you probably could get that down. Personally, when it comes to technology, specifically with your phone, if the technology is not available to you when you need it, there's no reason to pay for it. So I overspend when it comes to technology. I have to have Verizon, especially where I work. I need connection. So to me, spending money on your phone honestly isn't that bad. I will say don't upgrade every 2 years. Phones are so good now. The RAM and the CPUs in it are so good. They should last you a minimum of 3 years. Utilities being 130 is really good. Laundry at 90. What? That doesn't... Why do you spend $90 on laundry? I guess if you don't have your own laundry machine, but that's expensive. Like if you go to the laundry places, I know they're more expensive, but you're going to do laundry what? At the most 4 times a month. So you shouldn't be spending $90 on laundry. That's interesting. Wi-Fi is $55. Honestly, that's pretty good. Travel's $42. That's nothing to lose anything about. And subscription is $68. I don't know if he's using the subscriptions for his business. Like he could order certain things from Amazon and make the money off of it, right? So I'm not too upset about that. But whenever I see subscriptions being that high and there's not like a gym payment or something in there, it makes me question, like, do you really need all of that? Like, especially right now, do you really need all of that? All right, let's get back into it.
I still haven't been able to get back into a savings mode because I have been utilizing a lot of our profits, not only from paying myself a low salary, but also any profits that are coming in from the business, we're just putting them back. Right now, it's pretty much all lumped in making sure that the business continues to scale up and grow, specifically during the pandemic.
Like I said before, whenever you have a business, you always have to go and understand that whenever you put all the money back into the business and not save it on the side, not for personal use, but for business use, what you're risking is if you have a slow month or a slow year, your creditors are going to be calling, right? There are times to leverage. And I think when you're starting a business, that is one of the times. But that does not mean you won't find yourself in a situation where you have to fire people because you didn't save enough money. $1,700 in savings. That's about a month's worth of expenses. So I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, he can't really bring it up now. I think he's doing really good, by the way. He is hedging his bets on growing this business, especially if you saw that he had a 5x growth in a year to 2 years. I'm not worried about him. His pay will go with that business up to at least $60,000 to $70,000. And it sounds like, based off of the numbers, he could have been paying himself that, and he wanted to make sure the business was thriving. So he's actually a good businessman by taking less pay, shockingly enough.
So in 2012, when I received DACA, it was an experience that opened up a lot of doors for me. I now had a work authorization that allowed me to work anywhere I wanted and not just where I could work.
So whether or not you agree or disagree with DACA, the concept that you have this group of people who want to work, how can you enable them to work and everybody benefit from that, right? That's the foundation, very generally speaking, of DACA. So he's actually a really great example of that, and that's probably why they picked him for this video. I'm not shying away from that obvious assumption, right? But at the end of the day, if I want to make something of myself and there's not any opportunities for me to make something of myself, that's something external that I cannot control, right? But the opportunities available to me is something that's something society hands to you. And then as an individual, you have to be able to seek out those opportunities and take full advantage of them. And he sounds like he's doing what an individual in his position should do, looking out for himself, looking out for his family, and busting his ass doing so. Can I just say, right? This channel, when I started it, I wanted to specifically talk about poverty finance, and that will be the core of this channel. I just think finance is such a large topic that you need to understand it top down to build yourself and climb out of poverty, right? That's why I do these more general type videos or the more topic-based videos like my last one. This man buying a camera, the entrepreneurial spirit, that is actually what I love to see. This camera right here, this YouTube channel, would not exist without this camera right here. Best $500 I've ever spent. If you buy a camera, you can get somebody to pay you $40 to take their graduation pictures. And for the people who said it's not possible, I specifically know one guy who bought a $300 camera, took graduation pictures in order to reinvest that money into a nicer lens, talked his way into a concert. Now he's a personal photographer for rappers like Gunna, Little Tecca. I'm literally not kidding. He grinded his way to the top. It's being smart, seeing opportunities, working your ass off to take full advantage of those opportunities.
So I come from a family of merchants, and looking back, I didn't realize that I also come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom has always had a side hustle here. And I'll tell you this, when I was younger, I sometimes felt a little bit embarrassed of the work that my mom was doing. All of that to me felt like we were doing it out of necessity. And it really didn't click to me when I was younger that it was actually an entrepreneurship spirit that lived in my mom. By her trying to survive, she was teaching me entrepreneurship traits. And she was very diligent when the sales would come on, and the way that she would go door to door and sell things. All of those lessons, looking back, taught me a lot.
Honestly, I can kind of relate to that. Like, this video is definitely tailored toward this channel of poverty finance. When I say that, what I mean is when you're poor, how people see you is, and how you see yourself really, is in a negative light. Like, you feel bad. And you shouldn't necessarily feel bad, but everything you do is like bad, right? And what I mean, look at what she was doing. She was grinding, trying to pay the bills, feed her kids, doing everything she was supposed to and can do, right? And then he's looking down on her. That's what poverty is like. It's such a weight on your shoulder. That's why if you can't avoid it, you should. And that's why it's hard when you're in it to get out. At the same time, that stress of that weight being on your shoulder can be seen as an opportunity to grow as an individual and become better than the person next to you, right? And if you don't have that mindset, the odds of you getting out of poverty is significantly less because you're taking your individual control out of it. Now, not saying other people outside of your individual self can't help. I'm saying you can only control what you're able to do. So focus on that, put your energy into that.
My entrepreneurship journey began with side hustles. I started a side hustle selling sunglasses back in 2012. That side hustle allowed me to gain the experience and the knowledge of what it takes to run a business.
I love this button story. So if you haven't been in the position, or if you think you could be, try to make something and then sell it, right? And the feeling you're going to get when you go, damn, that started with me. This whole thing started with me, my concept, this product in my hand, I built from the ground up. You know, theoretically speaking, you might not have physically built it, but it's your baby. And when you get money for it, you will want to be an entrepreneur for the rest of your life. I had a phone case company back in college. I've mentioned that a few times. And I remember sitting in my bio class and my phone was just ringing and ringing and ringing with Shopify notifications, just saying, hey, $29.99 order ship, $69.99 order ship, $10.99 order ship. You know what I mean? Like, all these people are buying the thing that you wanted, and then that money goes into your pocket. It's a really good feeling, and you financially are rewarded for it.
I have 0 student loans because I never pursued a 4-year education. I am now more than ever glad that I made that decision because I, as a business owner, don't need any degrees to be able to grow the business.
Yeah, student loans. I mean, think about it. I'm $17,000 in debt when it comes to student loans. If you can avoid them, do it. They suck. Don't ever take more than the conservative estimate of the starting salary of the field you want to go into. I said it once, and I'll say it again. That will save you so much of a headache. Don't go take $100,000 out in student loans for anything that's not going to pay you twice that when you get out. Please, for the love of God, for you and me, for both of us, don't do it.
Throughout my journey, I have always showcased that if I can do this, or if I've gone through this barrier or have crossed or opened this door, that so can other people. But in order for other folks to be able to do that, they need to have that knowledge. And so I have made it my mission to not only show others, whoever asks me or sends me a message, hey Alejandro, how were you able to do this? To show them that process, but also I've taken it now to a different step where I go into colleges and universities and I speak to folks who are also undocumented or documented, and I talk about the undocu hustle, which is being able to make a living regardless of your immigration status.
This guy, I love him. I'm going to end it here. There's about 10 more seconds left, but it's whatever. Listen, knowledge is something you kind of run into, right? And there's no reason to be greedy with that knowledge, right? Like, I've learned a lot along the way of taking myself out of poverty. I've learned a lot by going through pre-med. I've learned a lot by pushing myself physically. I've learned a lot about pushing myself mentally and financially speaking. And there's no reason why I should think I'm better than the next person, right? Because I've done that. What I need to do, and what you should do, and what he's doing, is take what you've learned, put it in a digestible platform, and give it to the people for free. It doesn't hurt anybody, and odds are it'll pay you back tenfold, okay? Just help people be better. Like, it's not that hard. Just help people be better, right? And you don't have to dedicate your life, but if it's easy and efficient for you to do it, and there's a plus side for you to do it as well, why not? That is genuinely what entrepreneurship is all about. That's the video for today, guys. That's the middle class reacts for, this whole shebang. Let me know if you liked it in the comments below. Make sure you thumbs up that button. Subscribe if you like it. You don't have to. You're not going to ruin my day. But either way, love you guys. And remember, it may be hard now, but it doesn't always have to be. I'll see you in the next one.